The trench yawned below New Carcinia like a wound that never healed. No maps marked its full depth. No sonar returned clean echoes from its floor. The old legends called it the mouth of the ocean, the place where the sea swallowed itself to dream. Few ventured near, fewer returned with memory intact. But tonight, Krill descended willingly. The rebellion had not yet begun, yet already he carried the weight of its prophecy in his shell. He swam downward through layers of dark so dense they felt material, folds of pressure that compressed time itself. Above him the last city lights vanished. Only the rhythmic pulse of bioluminescent plankton remained, faint as heartbeat. He clutched the relic Scuttle had given him, a shard of coral inscribed with coordinates and a single word. Descend. The current grew colder. His joints ached. Tiny sparks of static flickered along his carapace, as though invisible threads were stroking him in recognition. He began to hear it, the sound that no shell guard could record, that the Church of Purity had outlawed from speech. The voice beneath. It was not sound but pressure translated into knowing. Each pulse struck him with meaning rather than tone. Come closer, little one. He did. The seafloor opened into a vast plain of obsidian glass, smooth and rippling like the surface of a giant eye. At its center, a monolith rose from the sediment, an ancient shell so large it could have belonged to a god. It spiraled endlessly inward, each whirl etched with equations older than bone, geometry that made his mind shiver with recognition. This was no natural formation. It was thought fossilized. Krill approached. The coral shard in his claw pulsed with light, resonating with the structure before him. The spiral began to move, slowly at first, then with increasing rhythm. Not rotation, breathing. From the hollow at its heart came a voice that filled the trench, the water, his nerves. Do you know me, child of shells? Krill bowed instinctively. I am Krill, worker of the lower reef. I came seeking the truth of your summons. Names are bubbles. I am the old ocean. I am the current that remembers when your kind were plankton drifting through starlight. I am the thought that dreamt the reef before flesh arrived to occupy it. The words resonated in every fiber of him. He felt his shell vibrate with harmonic frequencies. You fear your king. You despise your resin. But the sickness you named tyranny began long before Prawnald. He is merely the symptom of a deeper imbalance, the moment when the current forgot it could change direction. Krill's mind flooded with images, coral cities rising and collapsing in fractal cycles, each believing itself eternal, species perfecting systems that consumed their own foundations, prophets preaching purity while swimming through decay. What you call society is the reef's attempt to understand itself. What you call rebellion is the same process, mirrored in miniature. Every molt is a revolution. Every revolution is a molt. Krill's voice quivered. Then what are we to do? The reef rots from the inside. Rot is how the reef remembers it is alive. The dead feed the living, the lies feed the truth. But your kind has mistaken the shell for the creature. You worship the armor and starve the soul. The massive shell shifted again. A tendril of phosphorescent current coiled from its core, touching Krill's brow. In an instant he saw everything, the mimic code in the resin, the treaty's betrayal, Corellia's glowing mural, Chiton's equations spiraling into infinity. He saw himself mirrored in each of them, a single consciousness fractally repeating through different lives. There is no them, the old ocean said. There is only the pattern, folding upon itself. Prawnald and you are made of the same mathematics. The difference lies in the direction of recursion, creation or control. Krill fell to his knees. Then teach me how to create. The current pulsed brighter, wrapping him in a cocoon of light. Creation begins when fear ends. To molt is to die to what you think you are. The resin pretends to protect, but it only preserves fear. You must break your shell willingly. Only then will the current move through you unhindered. The pressure built until he thought his shell would shatter. He screamed, not in pain, but in release. Tiny cracks formed along his carapace. Warmth flooded through them, not water but light. He felt every memory dissolving, the clinic cue, Molly's laughter, the propaganda banners. All of it collapsing into pattern, numbers, rhythm. He glimpsed the underlying code, the reef's hidden algorithm, and realized that thought itself was another form of coral, growing wherever silence allowed it. When the vision faded, he was floating above the monolith, weightless and soft. The old shell had sloughed away, drifting downward like dead prophecy. Beneath it, his new form shimmered with faint translucence, fragile, yes, but alive in a way he had never been. "Go now," said the old ocean, its voice retreating into the depths. "Tell the others what you have seen. But remember, every revelation becomes propaganda if it is not lived." Krill ascended slowly, reborn yet trembling. The water grew warmer, lighter. When he broke through the cloud of silt above the trench, dawn was filtering through the upper currents. He looked at his reflection in the faint sunlight and saw a creature without armor, vulnerable yet radiant. He should have felt fear, but instead there was only clarity, the calm that comes when illusion finally dissolves. Far above, the porcelain throne gleamed like an idol. He whispered toward it, not in hatred but in comprehension. "Every king is a shell," he said. "And every shell will crack." Then he turned toward the reef, toward the friends and strangers who would soon need to molt, and began the long swim home, a soft creature carrying a hard truth.